Hello and welcome to Life of Diplomats. I am Ainuri Mangali. Today I'm joined by a distinguished guest whose strong commitment to defend multilateral values has shaped her career across numerous international postings, including at the United Nations and now here in Kazakhstan. She's a strong believer in a power of cooperation, and she stays positive about the future of bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Austria. It is my pleasure to welcome the ambassador of Austria to Kazakhstan, Andrea Bacher, in our program today. So let's begin.
Kazakhstan is our most important partner in Central Asia. So what I want to see is just more Austria in Kazakhstan and more Kazakhstan in Austria. I want more political engagement, I want more trade and investments, I want more people-to-people contacts, and I see it as my role as ambassador to really open doors. Because of this global uncertainty, I'm optimistic about the future for our bilateral relations.
That's a good strategy, okay? What is the most maybe important lesson you've learned here in Kazakhstan?
Patience.
Hello, dear ambassador.
Welcome. Welcome to the Austrian residence.
Thank you, and welcome to the program Life of Diplomat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vienna or Astana?
Vienna.
Apfelstrudel or Kürbis?
Apfelstrudel.
Wiener Schnitzel or Kazakh meat?
Veszpamak.
St. Stephen's Cathedral or Bilateral?
Bilateral.
Alps or steppe?
Both.
Both, wow. Edelweiss or Shannerock?
Shannerock.
Vienna Opera Bowl or Naurus?
Definitely Naurus.
Skiing in the Alps or eagle hunting?
Eagle hunting, if I have the opportunity.
Exotic. Alpine ibex or snow leopard?
Snow leopard.
Austrian Zither or Kazakh Dombra?
Dombra.
The main similarity between Austria and Kazakhstan? Just in 3 words.
We're both extremely hospitable and welcoming.
Yeah, and the main difference between Austria and Kazakhstan?
The size of the country. Kazakhstan is 30 times larger than Austria.
Dear Ambassador Bacher, thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. Let us start our discussions from very important topics of our bilateral relations, of our economic cooperation, political cooperation. So my first question here is, how would you characterize the current state of Austria-Kazakhstan diplomatic relations amidst the transformations and changes we are observing in the world?
Kazakhstan is our most important partner in Central Asia, at the political level, at the economic level, but also when it comes to arts and culture, science and education. So you can really say that our bilateral relations are now at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. We see much more political engagement. We see a steady increase in trade numbers. And also, thankfully, a steady increase in the number of visitors going from and to our countries. And that for me is a very positive sign, because we're living really in times of global uncertainty. So I think in those times, the most important thing is to have trusted and reliable partners. And for us as Austria, Kazakhstan is certainly one of those partners.
Mm-hmm. Let's now talk about economic cooperation. It's very important. You've mentioned the trade, which is going on very good numbers. But let's start from, what are the key sectors of economic cooperation between our countries?
So I already pointed out that Kazakhstan is our most important partner in Central Asia. Austria is an export economy. We earn 6 out of 10 euros via exports. So we are dependent on having these partners and markets that are open for our companies to invest in and to also produce locally. And actually the numbers are on the rise. Last year we had a record trade turnover of 2.8 billion euros in bilateral trade.
It's not bad, yeah.
It's not bad at all. Of course, the ambition is always to grow even more. Currently, we have around 400 Austrian companies with ties to the Kazakh market. And they are involved in all sectors of Kazakhstan's economy. So if we look at industry, construction, transport, logistics, renewable energy, green technology, but also in sectors like healthcare or tourism even. So I think the perspectives are really there, the opportunities are there. And I see it as my role as ambassador to really open doors both ways for our companies to invest, but also, of course, for Kazakh companies to show more interest in Austria.
Let's talk about a little bit more about particular areas, like, for example, renewable energy, logistics you've mentioned already, or digitalization, where you see the potential for expanded cooperation and why?
There are lots of areas with huge potential. You mentioned digitization. Of course, digitization and AI are the buzzwords right now. Everyone is talking about it. It is a big priority of the Austrian government. And as President Tokayev recently pointed out, Kazakhstan also has huge ambitions in that area. So I think there we should explore how we can cooperate.
So now let's talk about sustainable development. It's also a very big topic, environmental protection, sustainable development. And we know that Austria is recognized for its environmental leadership, right? So how is this reflected, again, to cooperation with Kazakhstan? What are the joint points where we can work together on the issues of environmental protection and sustainable development?
I think we Austrians are rightly proud of our high environmental standards, of our beautiful nature. But those are, of course, also huge economic assets which need to be managed responsibly. Let me just give you two quick examples. This summer we had the largest ever agricultural mission coming to Kazakhstan, comprised of almost 24 Austrian members of parliament, but also the heads of our farmers' associations. So they had official talks here in Astana, and then they visited numerous agricultural companies in the Akmola region to really talk about, sustainable farming, biological farming, food security in general. So this is an area where I think our experience can be beneficial for Kazakhstan. Another area, of course, is tourism. We earn a substantial part of our annual GDP via tourism, especially mountain tourism, if you consider all the ski resorts in Austria. So my ambition is to lead one of our next trade missions with Austrian companies to the East Kazakhstan region to explore, how they can use the wonderful nature they have there in a sustainable way to get economic benefit.
And now let's talk about regional dynamics, about Central Asia. I think you're keeping an eye on everything that is happening here. And my question here is, how does Austria is engaged in its dialogue with Central Asia, and what are the efforts to support regional stability, good governance, and resilience in this part of the world?
So I'm not only responsible for Kazakhstan, but I am also in charge of our bilateral relations with Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, which means I already have a more regional perspective on everything that I do. And I think what we've seen over the last few years is really a new development within the region. There's much more cooperation, much more engagement at the political level. So if you want a sort of move towards more integration and more cooperation within the different countries of the region. What we as Austria or as the European Union can do is to support this trend. Just recently, for example, Austria was one of the first supporters of the establishment of a new UN regional center for sustainable development goals for Central Asia and Afghanistan, because I think finding solutions to regional problems should come from the actors that are actually in the region. I think other platforms, other regional organizations, like the OSCE, for example, can play an important role in that.
The Ambassador, now let's move on to discussing some of also important question of cultural diplomacy, education and academic exchanges. It's also a very important part of diplomacy, we understand it. So what cultural diplomacy programs is the Austrian Embassy implementing right now to strengthen and to foster those people-to-people ties?
Arts and culture are really part of our identity. So what I'm trying to do here in Kazakhstan is not only to show to the people in Kazakhstan our big cultural heritage, but also give them an impression of contemporary Austrian art and culture. So for example, in spring this year, we had a young Austrian jazz musician participating in the jazz festival in Almaty. Next month, we will have a writer, an Austrian writer, coming here to Astana to present his work to the Kazakh audience. What I'm also very excited about is an upcoming exhibition that we are organizing in Astana. It will be an interactive installation of tales from the historic Silk Road countries, presented by women migrants living in Austria. So really a human bridge between Austria and Kazakhstan, between Europe and Asia.
Yeah.
And of course, there are also lots of programs going on in the educational sector. We are constantly trying to attract talented young students, researchers from Kazakhstan to come to Austria to study and to do research. So you can really say that these academic and cultural exchanges are a large part of the work we do here at the embassy.
Let's make a little glimpse into the future of our relations. So what would be your vision of the future of Kazakhstan-Austria relations, especially in the context of global uncertainty and regional transformation?
So what I want to see is just more Austria in Kazakhstan and more Kazakhstan in Austria. I want more political engagement, I want more trade and investments, I want more people-to-people contacts, be it student, but also tourists, for example. I want to make it easier for people to exchange. And especially if you look at the state of the world, this constant state of uncertainty and insecurity, I think having these trusted partners like Kazakhstan is crucially important. So because, or maybe because of this global uncertainty, I'm optimistic about the future for our bilateral relations. I think we have a lot in common. We have common political and economic interests. We have a solid base to work on, so we just need to seize this moment and really use it as an opportunity to come out stronger, also in our bilateral partnership.
Now let's talk about your career in diplomacy. What led you to this career? What motivates you to work and to represent your country abroad? And when we talk about diplomatic leadership, how this leadership developed over the course of your diplomatic career, starting from very early postings to the current role of an ambassador?
Well, I've had the great privilege of serving my country in a variety of positions. I served in Moscow for a few years at our embassy. I worked at our mission to the United Nations in New York, which was a wonderful experience. And most recently, I worked in the office of our then foreign minister, assisting him in our bilateral relations with Central Asia. And in each of these postings, I really learned a lot, also when it comes to leadership, when it comes to representing my country abroad. Working for our own interests based on our principles, but also exploring new forms of cooperation with partners. So I think diplomacy is a hugely rewarding work. And in the end, it's all about managing relationships. building up trust.
What is the most important skill you think which is needed in being very successful in this mission?
I found that usually the simplest method is always the best. Be open, be genuine, and be curious. Because usually if you approach people with an open mind, a willingness to really have a dialogue with them, to learn about their positions, then that is usually returned in the same way. So really,
exactly.
Don't complicate it, don't try out those very complicated leadership seminars and coaches. Just stick to the easy and simplest methods.
Ambassador, we have arrived in a very interesting place now, and I'm very excited about listening to your story of how have you started your new hobby here in Kazakhstan, and what else apart of official, busy days of a diplomat you can do here in our city.
So we are here in the Archer Club in Astana. It's an archery club, a new hobby that I started after arriving here in Kazakhstan. Because a few months ago, my fellow European ambassadors and I went to Shymkent. We had some meetings with the local Diplomat. We visited the university, a few companies, but then they invited us to participate in a traditional nomad games show. And I was fascinated by horseback archery.
Oh, wow.
So I thought to myself, I'm here in Kazakhstan, might as well take up a new hobby, which is why I started with archery.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
It takes a bit of practice, but it's just a super relaxing activity,
yeah.
Because you need to focus, but you also then get to relax.
Okay, so you focus on that yellow thing, right, in the middle?
Yes, and if you're lucky, you even hit the yellow thing.
Okay.
So the most important thing is focus and patience.
Okay, so let me try as well. Yeah.
Хорошо?
I'm in the circle.
You hit it.
Great. No, that's really very interesting. You should have strong arms, yes, for that?
No, not really. It's a good sport also for women.
For women, yes, exactly. Oh, that was a great experience. Thank you. Let us go back to your first day of arrival in Kazakhstan. So what was the impression and how this impression maybe evolved over the time you've been here, you've been living here?
I arrived at the beginning of January, so it was freezing cold. There was white snow everywhere, brilliant sunshine, and I felt right at home. Because it very much reminded me of the Alps in wintertime.
Right.
And I have to say that this feeling of arriving somewhere and immediately feeling at home is not something we often experience as diplomat. Usually it takes us a while to get used to the new country, to the people.
To adapt, right.
To adapt, exactly. But here in Kazakhstan, it didn't take me any time. I think also because of the people, because everyone has been so warm and welcoming, so hospitable, which makes me feel that there are a lot of similarities between Kazakh people and Austrians. We are both very proud of our own countries, of our cultures, of our language, and we want to show that off to our visitors.
And speaking generally, when we come to the new places, we always learn something new, right? And what is the most maybe important lesson you've learned here in Kazakhstan, being in Kazakhstan?
Patience, Because traveling around the country, it's not like back home in Austria, where I take a plane in Vienna and then in 2.5 hours I will have crossed parts of the Czech Republic, Germany, and landed in Brussels in Belgium. But here, if I enter an airplane, in 2 hours I'm in Almaty. I'm still in the same country. So you need patience to really discover the territory, the enormous territory of Kazakhstan.